Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, Manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. We're on what, text 24? Preksham Shipantam Harito Paladre Sandhyar Banive Ururukma Murdna Ratno Dadhara Shati Somanasya Vanasrajoveno Bhujangri Pangrihe Preksham Kripantam Harito Paladre Sandhya Pranive Ururukma Murdna Ratno Dadhara Shari Somanasya Vanasrajovenu Bhujangri Pangre Pangre Preksham Kshipantam Harito Paladre Sandhya Pranive Urukma Murdna Ratno Dadhara Shati Somanasya Vanasrajovenu Bhujangri Pangre
Preksham Shipantam Harito Paladre Sandhya Pranive Urukma Murdna Ratno Dadhara Shari Somanasya Vanasrajovenu Bhujangri Pangre.
Sandhya Brahmaveru Rukma Murna Ratno Dadharo Shati Somanasya Vanasrajovenu Bhujangri Pangre.
Preksham Shipantam Harito Paladre
Preksham Kshipantam Harito Paladre
Sanya Pranive Urukma Murdna
Sandhya Pranive Ururukma Murdna
Ratno Dadaro Shari Somanasya
Ratno Dadhara Shati Somanasya
Vanasrajovenu Bhujangri Pangre.
Vanasrajovenu Bhujangri Pangre
Preksham Kshipantam Harito Palandre
Preksham Kshipantam Harito Paladre
Sandhya Praniver Ururukma Murtnaha
Sandhya Praniver Ururukma Murdna
रत्नो दधारौषधि सौमनस्य
Ratno Dadharao Shruti Samanasya
वनास्रजो वेणुभुजाङ्घ्रिपाङ्घ्रे
Banasvajo Vin Bhujangri Bhangre. Skornatai Jai.
Sham Shipantam Harito Palandre
Reksham Kripantam Harito Paladre
Sandhya Bhirniver Ururukma Murdnaha
Sandhya Pranive Ururukma Mordnaha
Ratno Dadhara Usadi Saumanasya
Ratno Dadhara Shruti Samanasya
Vanas Rajovena Bhujangri Pangre
Banasvajo Vin Bhujangri Bhangre
Raksham Shiptam Harito Palanje.
Reksham Kripantam Harito Paladre
Sanya Vrani Veru Mamrodana.
Sandhya Pranive Ururukma Mordnaha
Ratno Dadharushari Samanasya.
Ratno Dadhara Shati Samanasya
Vanas Raja Veno Bhujan Ripanagre.
Banasvajo Venu Bhujangri Bhangre
Sandhya Bhirniver Ururukma Murdana Ratno Dadhara Sadi Samanasya Vanna Sajovenu Bhujangri Pangre
Preksham Kshipantam Harito Paladrehe Sandhya Branive Ururukma Murna Radno Dararo Shariso Manasya Vanas Rajovenu Bhujangri Pangrehe.
Reksham, the panorama. Shipantam, deriding. Harita, green. Upala, coral. Adre, of the hell. Sandhya abranivehe, of the dress of the evening sky. Uru, great. Rukma, gold. Murdnaha, on the summit. Ratna, jewels. Udadhara, waterfalls. Aushadi, herbs. Salmanasya, of the scenery. Banasrajaha, flower garland. Venu, dress. Bhuja, hands. Angripa, trees. Angrahe, legs. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The luster of the transcendental body of the Lord mocked the beauty of the coral mountain. The coral mountain is very beautifully dressed by the evening sky. The yellow dress of the Lord mocked its beauty. There is gold on the summit of the mountain, but the Lord's helmet bedecked with jewels mocked it. The mountain's waterfalls, herbs, etc., with a panorama of flowers seem like garlands, but the Lord's gigantic body and his hands and legs, decorated with jewels, pearls, tulasi leaves, and flower garlands, mock the scene of the mountain. Well, it's nice to hear again. So we'll go to text 25. I'll read it, it's short. The panoramic beauty of nature which strikes one with wonder may be taken as a perverted reflection of the transcendental body of the Lord. One who is therefore attracted by the beauty of the Lord is no longer attracted by the beauty of material nature, although he does not minimize its beauty. In Bhagavad Gita 259, it is described that one who is attracted by Param, the Supreme, is no longer attracted by anything inferior. So, text 25.
Comment? Two comments. One is, I'm a little concerned about the word adre, which generally means hill or mountain. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that. Perhaps there was might be of the hell, of the hill. Well, that's possible. And another thing is that we were discussing yesterday about where the Coral Mountain is, but Prabhupada seems to indicate that this is a description of nature in general. So nature with its coral mountain, in nature, a coral mountain would be very beautiful. And it would have gold and all these things. These are some of the beautiful things of nature. I think that's the main idea, is that one who's attracted by Krishna, transcendental beauty of the Lord, is no longer attracted by the beauty of nature. In other words, he decries the beauty of nature, but doesn't mean he's not interested in nature's beauty, but it doesn't mean that he criticizes it. He knows it's also beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as the person himself, because he describes it as perverted reflection. Whatever we see in material nature, it may be very glorious, but it's just a spark of splendor. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. That what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed information about my opulences? With a spark of my splendor, I'm fulfilling the whole cosmic manifestation. So a devotee may be tempted by nature. He finds it beautiful, but it doesn't distract him from his real business. It's just like someone's given a task to do, a very important task. He has to go and bring a message to a certain person, and then he has to get some paper and come back. So as long as he fixes his mind on that, there may be many beautiful things along the way that could allure him. And there could be a beautiful woman, there could be beautiful natural scene, there could be money, there could be sound, everything. Fear, there's some danger. But he's not disturbed by any of those things. Not put off his duty. He fixes his mind on what his duty is. And then he's actually on the transcendental platform, because nothing compares to the excitement and the beauty and the perfectness of Krishna's service. Everything about it is wonderful. So, and that's part of Krishna's beauty. Krishna is all beauty, all knowledge, all fame, everything. And one who has a taste for that, he loses his taste, as stated in the 59th verse of the second chapter, that the taste for sense objects, one whose taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixing consciousness. That higher taste means to have developed an attraction, some attachment for Krishna. And that comes by serving the devotees, by serving the great souls. One develops attachment for Krishna, and then he loses his attachment for Maya, for the material energy, which is a type of illusion. That beauty, it's also beauty, but it only acts on the material persons who are attracted. It doesn't act on the one who's fixed in the transcendental, he's on the transcendental platform. For him, the only beautiful thing is Krishna.
This microphone is going to die. Thank you. So I was thinking how many people in this modern age, they go out trying to enjoy at restaurants, and sometimes people go to seafood restaurants and they have these big aquariums and tanks with different fish from the sea, and sometimes the fancy ones, they have pieces of coral in there, living coral that's very exquisite, very beautiful. Some are like neon, some are colorful, some are wavy, all sorts of different shapes and sizes that you would never suspect in your wildest imagination. So imagine a mountain of that with all these beautiful, ornate structures, different colors, different sizes, shapes. And then here it's saying that the Lord, his beauty mocks this mountain, makes it seem like nothing. So, as Maharaj is pointing out, yeah, the devotee may see the wonders of nature and see the beauty in it, but always you see the hand of Krishna within that nature. Krishna is the supreme artist. I think Magadari was speaking on this very verse a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how Prabhupada said that people can draw a flower, but nobody can make something so beautiful and ornate as a real flower. What to speak of adding aromas in there that naturally produced symmetry, different structures. I mean, it can reproduce itself and grow more flowers. So whatever we can do, artistically speaking, is just very, very feeble. If that's probably an understatement compared to what the Lord can do in his full opulence and full power. So what to think of his beauty, his magnificence. I was thinking about how we're attracted to material nature, and I was just thinking how Maharaj said, okay, you have a mission and you're on that mission, and then when you're focused on that, you're not going to let money or a beautiful woman distract you, because you got something to do. So I was thinking how we are very fond of this material world and the material energy, but take like a beautiful woman, for instance. It's like Lord Chaitanya said that he or somebody in the renounced order shouldn't even touch a doll of a beautiful woman. But I was just thinking how you could see a picture, like two-dimensional picture of a woman, and it could create some response in you. What to speak of like a three-dimensional picture versus then like a video. But all of that is nothing compared to actual, like the real person, living person. So similarly, the material energy, whatever we could see here, whatever kind of pleasure or beauty is there, is just completely minuscule compared to the spiritual world. And one who's mad after Krishna will see Krishna everywhere. It's said that love and separation is higher than love and union. So, the gopis of Vrindavan embody this. And one way of seeing that is that when you're together with Krishna, you just see Krishna in front of you, just one Krishna. Shishikwarna Taiki Jai. But if you're separate from Krishna, you see Krishna everywhere. The tree reminds you of Krishna because it's blackish in color. The peacocks you see dancing on the hill, they remind you of Krishna because he wears a peacock feather in his hair. The Yamuna reminds you of Krishna because you had some pastimes there. So everything reminds you of Krishna. So this is the nature of the devotee, is that. This is the nature of the devotee, that he's always seeing Krishna's hand in the nature. And the gopis in this way, they didn't want to see anything but Krishna. And there's a funny story in this connection that my Guru Maharaj tells. He says he was taking a plane ride across Europe. There's the Italian Alps, very beautiful, very big, snow-capped mountains in the clouds. And they asked him if he wanted a window seat or aisle seat. He said, I'll take the window seat. It'll be a nice view along the way to my destination. And he said he was flying and he was looking out at the mountains. And then after a few minutes, he's like, okay, this is not so great. How long can you look at this? So then he pulled out the Nectar Devotion. And right when he pulled it out, he opened to a page and it was saying, the gopis did not want to look at anything but Krishna. So then he was like, exposed, I'm exposed. I wanted to see Krishna's nature and not just Krishna. So we can't mimic, the gopis' bhav of purely only seeing Krishna, only desiring to see Krishna, but we can follow in their footsteps. So then we can start by following the instructions of the spiritual master and bringing Krishna into all the facets of our life. And this way, Krishna takes hold. How many of us, when we came in contact with the devotees or came in contact with chanting Hare Krishna, thought it would completely consume our whole life? Most of us probably thought, okay, I'll take a little bit of it and I'll apply it here and I'll be able to enjoy better. But Krishna is so attractive. The word Krishna means all attractive. He's so attractive that somehow or other he captivates us. And another name is Lord Hari, one who takes away our material attachments. He's stripping us from that. So Krishna is very sneaky in this way. One time, Prabhupada was on a morning walk with his disciples, and he was asking his disciples, he said, what was the word he used? I forget the exact word. I wish I could say it, but he was saying, is a devotee straightforward or is a devotee a cheater, more or less? And, people were thinking about it. They were thinking, devotees are pious, they're honest, they develop all good qualities. And they said, yeah, he's honest, he's straightforward. And Prabhupada laughed and he's like, no, a devotee's a cheater. Yeah, crooked. There you go. A devotee's crooked because I cheated you all. I said, all you have to do is chant Hare Krishna and that's it. But while one chants Hare Krishna, they get a higher taste. And then when that higher taste comes, naturally you want more of it. So then you're willing to go through whatever measures it takes to get more of that higher taste. Just like a drug addict, you do some kind of drug and it gives you some response. And at first, it's not like you know about it. You're not going to go out of your way to get it. You don't know how it's made or, anything. Somebody just gives it to you or you come in contact with it, but then you develop that taste. And then some people become so addicted to drugs, they're willing to do anything, kill, steal from loved ones, just so they can fulfill that high. So very similarly, when comes in contact with Krishna, we get that higher taste. And the more we get that higher taste, the more I'll do anything for that. So fortunately, there's a very clear-cut process to follow. which is definitely not like drug addiction. So that's also fortunate. So we follow that process. It's given by the scriptures, the spiritual master, and we can make rapid advancement. Rapid advancement. And we can see this. Sometimes we struggle day by day, dealing with the mind, dealing with, not maintaining enthusiasm. Sometimes we're really fired up and really studying and really, really hearing. Other days we're just, Hare Krishna, hardly awake. So there's struggles. But if we look back to a month ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years, like whenever we first came here, very clear there's so much advancement. How else could one live without intoxication and pursuing sex, eating meat? It's very, very difficult. Some people can do it, but it's very, very difficult. And for the conditioned souls of this Kali Yuga, what to say, it's even more difficult. But very quickly. And Srila Prabhupada, he talked about this. I heard one time he was saying that there's many philosophers, many scholars, many professors, and they can teach and study and learn, but still they have crutches, things they rely on, that they're attached to in this material world. I remember one time I was working at a job years ago, and there was some guy talking, and he was saying, you should never have more than 2 crutches on your life. Crutches meaning like things you're attached to, like sex or drugs or this or that. And I remember at the time he said that, I was like, what? I have way more than that. Like, that's impossible. And now, after coming in contact with Prabhupada, reading Prabhupada's books in a very short time, you're like, 2 crutches? What kind of nonsense is that? That's bogus philosophy. Give up all these things and fully take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this way we can be happy. If you depend upon anything else, it's just going to be pain and misery. So this is what we're here to do, is to fully depend upon the Supreme Lord. And Lord Krishna, we all know, conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Pratyaja Mamikam Shatanam Vraja Aham Tam Sarva Papipyo Moksha Yishami Mashucha. As Krishna says, just abandon all dharma and take shelter of me, fully depend on me. I will protect you, have no fear. So I was thinking about this because fear and love don't mix. If you truly love and trust and depend, then it's like, okay, Krishna's got me. Krishna's going to protect me. You're not worried. You're just going to give your all to Krishna. And whether you come up short or whether you succeed, it's irrelevant, because you're just trying and depending upon Krishna. But when we're fearful that we'll fail, fearful we can't do it, fearful that Krishna's not there, fearful that Krishna's not going to protect us, we're limiting how much Krishna can actually come into our life, because we're holding on to this fear, which is coming from our desire to control the world around us, to control our life. And this is what brings all of our anxiety and frustration, that I'm trying to control every little facet of my life. I control my diet perfectly so I can be healthy, control my sleep, perfectly, control, everything. We can't control much of anything, We can't control the weather. Prabhupada would often mention how we're dependent upon the sun to see. Without that, how are we going to see anything? How are we going to get food? How is anything going to happen? So we have to see that we are not independent. We never were, never will be. And this independent mentality is detrimental to advancing spiritual life. So Krishna manifests himself in our lives as the spiritual master. It's the external manifestation, the representative of the Lord. So in this way, we can approach Krishna here and now and really tap into giving up this independent nature and practicing, working to be dependent upon Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, we'll just keep going round and round and round through different bodies in this material world, thinking that if I'm in a more favorable situation, if I'm in this condition, if I have this going on, then I'll actually be able to figure it all out. But any position that we are, man, woman, I mean, even Lord Chaitanya liberated a dog. We might not be so fortunate if we take birth as a dog, but with the Lord's mercy, anything is possible. So we should fully depend upon Him in all facets of our life. And this, otherwise, how else are we going to overcome all of our struggles, our anarthas? We can't remove all this on our own. We try to prod through our consciousness and remove all of our anarthas and fix ourselves in like a high transcendental state. And this is this path of a yogi, essentially using your own strength to rise up to the spiritual world, but it's very, very difficult. But simply, if we just depend upon Krishna, and the best way to do this just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is why Prabhupada says it's chanting the Maha Mantra is like a baby crying out to its mom. So this is what a baby does. That's all that a baby has is, I'm dependent upon you. Please, please help me. So if we truly adopt that mood in our approach to Krishna, Krishna will feel obliged to help us. But we hold on to control. We hold on to different things we're trying to manipulate. So then Krishna's working to purify us. But how open are we to it? It's a question we have to ask ourselves. Okay, so it's almost time. I don't know if anybody has any comments or questions or thoughts. Yes, Dr. Kevin.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. However, there are times when, for instance, when we associate with someone who's a non-devotee or maybe new to Krishna consciousness and we're their like caretaker, there's like a fear that that person might make offenses to Krishna. So there's like that fear that one might develop being a caretaker, or also like a fear that might develop around advanced devotees, you know, not wanting to. Do you think devotees in Vrindavan have that fear when they're around Krishna, or like, because Krishna is surrounded by devotees, so it's not like, I guess we have to have intelligence to really navigate.
You're asking, does Krishna's friends feel the fear of offending him when they're climbing on his shoulders and kicking him in the head when they're playing out in the forest?
No, I'm not talking about that.
I'm just giving one example that the residents of Vrindavan don't view Krishna in the light of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They view him as my son, my friend. So there's no fear of offending him because they're in depth in a loving relationship. Whereas, like, say, you know, I'm personal friends with the President of the United States. You know, he walks most places and people are like giving him all respect. There's Secret Service there protecting, but if someone's a close friend, you could speak in lighthearted, joking words or even like poke fun at him, but he doesn't take offense to it. So the residents of Vrindavan, each one has their own rasa, and in those different rasas, there's different experiences. And not to say that fear is not there, as you pointed out, it's definitely there, but not in the context of how we know it in the material world. So this is what nectar devotion is all about, describing the different rasas in connection with these different relationships. There's all sorts of different bhavs, different moods that develop within these rasas, and then there's different emotions, different feelings, which is here is just a perverted reflection of that spiritual world. So we're experiencing that same range of emotions and feelings and relationships, but in a perverted way, which is covered by the material energy, which is bringing us to, it's not so favorable. It entangles us more and more.
I guess I was talking about like with devotees, we all want to please the spiritual master, please Krishna. And there might be, we want to make sure that.
I mean, I was getting to this point that like fear is healthy in terms of like, okay, we don't want to make offenses.
Yeah.
Because, we were talking about this the other day, and Magadari was talking about this point of, making offenses where we're leaving behind the world of karma and coming into this world of offenses. That's what he said. So then naturally, we should be fearful to commit offenses. But then, and I was making the point how another way of looking at that, saying the same point in just another way, we're entering into the world of love, which means like a relationship. So naturally, when there's a relationship, like I don't want to offend that person, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. But, then he pointed out, which we're not fully there. So then we have to accept our position. So then, yes, fear can be a healthy part to help us come there. Like I like the point that you mentioned, if we bring somebody else to the temple, like naturally, I feel like responsible. So fear is there because I don't want them to fall away. I don't want to hurt them and push them away. I want to help them go forward. But the spiritual master, in this song we sing for Guru Puja, it says the spiritual master is always treated with awe and reverence. So also it's said that the relationship with the spiritual master should develop into that of firm friendship, loving friendship, but that's not to deride awe and reverence. Awe and reverence should always be there. So in awe and reverence, naturally, there's, this kind of fear, especially if we don't know how to act. You have to act properly, but as you act properly, following that, more of this love develops, more of this connection as we become purified. So Krishna is saying, abandon all fear, not to like just get rid of all fear altogether and, just go into the temple and do whatever you want to do. He's saying, give up all fear of the material world and just fear that he's not there to fully guide us and protect us. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says he's within the heart of all living entities. And to those sincere souls who are really wanting to know him, he's there providing all the knowledge. So in essence, what he's saying is, trust that Krishna's in your life. He's there protecting you. He's there arranging everything for you to come to him. You don't have to do any extra activities, and this is all in terms of the Vedas. So in the Vedas, there's many different ritualistic sacrifices, different, samskaras, so many different things to do. Krishna says, just give up all this and just fully take shelter of him. Just depend upon him. Don't fear, because he will protect you. He will take care of you. And then, again, the notion of like leaving karma to offenses or love, then as you enter into that fully depending upon Krishna and he's protecting you, it's like even offenses we may commit actually can be blessings, because it's all Krishna there directing us. So it's not to say that like I actively go and commit offenses, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear many instances, many examples of devotees committing offenses, such as Maharaj Parikshit. He puts a snake on this living entity. And then his son curses him to die in 7 days. And Prabhupada makes the point that he's a very powerful king. He could have done something to, negate this curse, but he just accepted it as the Lord's mercy. So he's abandoning everything and fully depending upon Krishna with no fear, just venturing into that. So then he says, he figures out what he should do with his remaining days, and he gets absorbed in Krishna Katha, hearing about Krishna. So as we approach Krishna, we're conditioned souls, so naturally we'll commit offenses. But we shouldn't let the fear of offenses block us from going forward to Krishna with full enthusiasm. Sometimes devotees will say, I'm too fallen. I don't think chanting works for me. I'm too fallen. This is an offense to the holy name, because the holy name is supremely potent. One of the 10 offenses is to not have complete faith in chanting the holy names. So if you fully take shelter of Krishna and fully depend upon him, then it's okay. I'm going to make an offense. I hope not. I'm going to try to minimize it as much as possible. But what to do? And there's an example of this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya, he was dancing with his associates and he came back to his place of residence, and he crashed, he was so tired, and he crashed in the doorway, and he was just laying there. And his servant, Govinda Das, he's looking at Lord Chaitanya in the hallway. He's like, can I help you get to the bed? Can I help you get to, not the bed, he just slept on a mat on the ground, but, can I help move you to a better place? Lord Chaitanya's like, no, just, leave me here. Just go, arrange the prasadam and I'll be okay. So then Lord Chaitanya took it's a yoga nidra, his transcendental pastime of resting. And when he was resting, Govinda was outside the door. Like before, he was resting. Then when he woke up, he saw him inside. And hours went by, and he inquired. He was like, why are you in here? Why didn't you go take prasadam? And he said, oh, my Lord, I brought you prasadam here. And he was like, yeah, but why didn't you leave? How did you get in here? What happened? So Lord Chaitanya was in the hallway, and this devotee brought the prasad for him, and he stepped over Lord Chaitanya, which is an offense. So he stepped over Lord Chaitanya, which is an offense. Why? Because he was serving Lord Chaitanya to bring him prasadam. But for him to go take prasadam himself, he didn't step over the Lord. So he was willing to commit an offense on behalf of the service of the Lord, but for his own well-being, he wasn't willing to commit an offense. So there's much more to say on this whole topic. I hope whatever shared was helpful at all. But that's a nice pastime that kind of highlights a certain aspect of it.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for going over time. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gauranatai ki jai. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripas Nibhi Vichapasitana